We got Mark with a C and a K.
Yes. What's up, everybody? It's Mark from Laylax. You may have seen me elsewhere on the internet.
Today, we're going to be asking him some questions about the world of soft air ball cringe.
Yes, that's
and
right.
I thought he would be a very good person to talk to because he has, how many years of experience you got?
Too many, and I'm not necessarily proud to say how many. No, I started playing Airsoft casually since I was about 13 years old.
13?
13 years old, so my...
That's like 10 years ago.
Yeah. So back in Hong Kong, I'm half Chinese, so back in Hong Kong, one of my uncles was a key member of a large airsoft group in Hong Kong called GBB Gamer.
Okay.
And, thus the name, GBB Gamer. They're gas blowback guys.
Yeah.
But he used to use an OG MP5 AEG, where he had like the NiCads on the outside of the handguard, strapped on with like a magazine pouch, and that's how I was exposed to this, and now I'm like in. There's no coming back for me.
Yeah,
put it that way. Yes.
He is airsoft ball cringe. Question for you, sir.
Okay.
You have shot real steel firearms, yes?
Yes, I have.
And you have played airsoft in Hong Kong?
Hong Kong, Europe, here in Japan.
Have you played in the States?
You know, it's the funny thing. A lot of people always expect that I've played back in the U.S., but I've never played airsoft in the U.S.
Really?
Actually, up until May 2022, I've never even shot an airsoft gun in America.
Oh, but you did.
Yes, in May 2022, when we went to America to visit BCM and a bunch of them, we went to the Airsoft Megastore, the EVIC. Not Airsoft Megastore. We went to EVIC, and at EVIC, I shot some airsoft guns, and that was my first airsoft guns that I shot in the U.S. was at the EVIC store.
How did it feel?
It felt like airsoft.
What did you shoot them for?
Oh man, we shot some stuff. They had some, just some AEGs and some pistols and stuff like that.
That's cool.
Nothing crazy. We just wanted to kind of get some footage while we were there.
Yeah.
It's on our channel. You can go check it out on Airsoft Diaries there. So it was fun. It was good times. Yeah,
that's cool. For me, I've only actually ever played airsoft in Japan. The place where it all started, guys.
Yes.
So I don't really know the difference. So I thought it would be a good idea to ask you some questions. Not about airsoft, really, but about real steel techniques. And since my channel is like all about tactics and stuff, because airsoft in Japan is very tactical.
Yes, you kind of have to be.
Yes, because the one life game modes, the speed restrictions, the sizes of the field forces you to train just like any other sport.
Yes.
And I feel like the only place to really learn how to play airsoft in a tactical way is by looking at real steel firearms, because no one's really out there saying, come to my airsoft class, right? So
wasn't there that one guy on the internet? Anyways. But yeah, I get it. Yeah, for sure.
We all know that real steel firearms, like they have recoil, they have brass coming out. Right. So I wanted to ask you if some of those techniques that you kind of learn fundamentals from are actually applicable in the game of airsoft with your experience that you've had over the years versus like what can you sacrifice and give up?
Right.
So like one example would be like shouldering the stock. Like there's no actual recoil holding, so we can kind of cheat a little bit.
Yeah.
So I got a little list here of some stuff, and I'd like to get your opinion on them.
Let's go.
And I deleted the whole note. No, I didn't. One of the things that I tout a lot, and because it's so important in Japanese CQB, when the space is so tight, people will shoot you in the knuckles because people are building high accuracy builds.
Yes.
Which is why, CNC hop-up chamber by Laylax and that purple Prami.
That's right.
And the Type War barrels.
By Laylax right here. Yes.
They will get you in the knuckles.
They will get you in the knuckles. That's right.
So being able to really close yourself off is very important. So that means not going like this around a corner versus transitioning. Now, what are your thoughts on that? Because I hear that transitioning to your offhand in real steel is not really a thing that you do.
Right. So let's talk about it kind of in both ways, right? So let's address airsoft for airsoft. Now, what are you wanting to get out of your experience? I think is really, really important, right? So are you going into airsoft with the mindset of, okay, I'm playing a game and I want to enjoy a game? And are you playing this game as a form of enjoyment to win, almost like a competition? Then if you're looking at it like that, then let's be really honest with each other. It's really not that big a deal. As long as you're making the kills and, winning the game, then how you do it or go about it, there's no right or wrong way. However, if you want to then, let's say, take it to the next level, right? So in sports terms, that would be like, instead of playing at your rec center, now you want to go play for a league. Then you suddenly have to step up how you play. You want to be able to, okay, if it's basketball, okay, I want to be able to shoot with better form. I want to be able to dribble with better form. I want to be able to use my left hand for a layup instead of just the right hand, right? So in Airsoft, it's very similar. In real steel shooting, you do have to practice offhand shooting, right? Because there is going to come a time when you're going to have to transition through a doorway or through a wall. I do it too, right? I do the same thing. When I go up, I always force myself to transition because it gives me just that little bit extra of an edge, right? Now, there's ways to go about it that help you, right? Because we're right-handed, so we set up mostly like right-hand dominant. So I'm here, and when I transition, I usually lift and move the whole thing back. But then when I take my hand, since my flashlight's up here, what I do, I just move it back. I just move it back, and I just kind of index my dot, collapse, and just kind of move. When I'm done, immediately go back, right? So I will always do a transition, but also it kind of gets into, I would say, how you set up your rifle or your airsoft gun is really important. So for me, when I was in Hong Kong, when I used to set up my guns, I always had a pec box on there. Because in CQB, you're doing a lot of reaction shooting, so I run my laser on all the time. So I run laser on and I just index and shoot. So it really helps when I transition. I just flip, fire my laser, transition, let go, and I'm good. Right? So is there merit to it? Absolutely. Do you need to do it every single situation? I make myself do it. Again, there's no 100%, right? Do whatever works for you.
Thing for me is like, because they're airsoft guns, we don't have rifled barrels and we have hop up units. So like, if you go like this and curve it, and if it'll just go to the ground.
That's right.
So like, I feel like the priority in airsoft is to keep that gun leveled with the horizon as much as you can. So offhanding is a lot better because you can keep that straight trajectory, right? But as soon as you start going like this, yes, you have more confidence and going in, but you might miss. Right?
So, well, not just miss, right? Especially, let's say, if you're playing in larger locations. Like, so for example, when I was playing in Europe and we were playing inside like an abandoned facility or like any kind of real home, house, building situation where you actually have, let's say, 10, maybe over 30 meters of space. And the moment, even if you're just holding your gun up straight and you move it a little bit, you're putting yourself at a disadvantage. I sometimes find myself doing this too, and I always have to consciously remind myself, no, I'm not shooting a real gun. Flip this thing back forward and shoulder this properly, right? So it just all goes back into how you have your equipment set up, where your red dot is. I'm now very, very fond of higher mounts. So it just really helps me drive up. I just lift the gun right up to my eye level. I don't have to move my head down, straight up, and I'm good to go. So that for me really works. So yeah, you're right. Try to keep that thing straight.
So I think that does have its advantages and disadvantages.
It does have its advantages and disadvantages. Disadvantages only mean you need to train a little bit more, right? When you're playing a friendly game with your friends, hey, force yourself to transition a little bit, get comfortable with it where it feels natural. You're going up to a door and you know you got to turn the opposite direction, or going up to a wall and you know you got to turn the opposite direction. Just change your shoulders. And then the more you do it, the more comfortable you'll feel.
Cool. But here's the controversial question. I'm going to go over here and grab it.
He's going to grab the controversy.
Transitioning offhand with a handgun. Now, I tout this a lot on my channel, and it's because, like, for me, again, you're trying to minimize the amount of space that you're giving off, right? And for me, when you have the handgun, and because there's no recoil, you don't have to do the weaver stance and really brace for it. You can just do this, bro. Like when you're playing Japanese airsoft. So you're basically shouldering it if there was an invisible stock. So if you, in theory, if you're on the left side, there's only a merit to having it because you can be behind a wall and you're just like this, right? But a lot of people are against this. Like everybody I've talked to, even our boy Ryan says it. He's like, no, there's no point. You're better off just doing this. What are your thoughts on that?
You know, to be honest, I don't fully disagree, but I don't do it. I don't transition. I feel like it's a bit of a waste, to be
Really?
honest. Because if I'm coming up to a wall, right? Let's say I have to go the opposite direction. I have to go this way, right?
Yeah.
I'm coming up to a wall. I'm here, and I'm gonna. My muzzle's already out. I'm just gonna tuck this in.
Yeah.
Right. I'm gonna tuck this in, get this close, and again, airsoft. You don't have to worry too much about the recoil.
Yeah.
Tuck this in. I'm just gonna cut this. I'm gonna turn this, move my arm, turn this with my wrist, turn and just pop them. If I need to, I'm gonna use my wrist, turn, and just go pop them that way, right? And if I don't, I'm always just kind of leaning into the wall, just upper body out, rainbow six style.
Yep.
You know, pop them a couple times, and I'm gonna come back in.
But are you not concerned about, again, when you're talking about the hop curve?
Right.
Because the more you do this.
Well, yeah, but the thing is, with me, I always keep my gun straight, right? I'm always here, right? It's the body mechanic of being able to push your wrist and your arm in while keeping this completely flat. The only thing moving is my upper torso, where I'm just going in this way, right? So I'm
just all in the stance.
It's all in my stance and in my hips and also in my waist, where I'm bending my back foot backwards, and then I'm just letting my body slouch into this way, and then my arm is keeping completely flat as I'm coming in.
I see, and you're keeping it leveled.
Yeah, that's right. So I'm pointing, I'm driving it out. Here, pop, pop, and I'm coming back, right?
Which brings us to our next topic, stance and footwork in airsoft. Now, you might see a lot of players, they're literally just standing like this, and they're just like this. They do this whole thing. They don't worry about the stance, they're just like this. Meanwhile, you have some hardcore players, front stance, wiener stance, they're all about it. Like, what do you think about that? Is it a waste of time? Is it something you should learn? What do you think?
I think it all goes back to what I said a little bit earlier, right? It's what you want to get from your experience. Me, I go in like with the mindset of I want to play serious. I want to use more real steel like tactics because that's how I enjoy the game. Right? That's how I prefer to play. And so when I run my stance, I always run it properly. If I'm running a pistol, I do it the same way as I'm shooting a real firearm. Grip, hold, drive it out. Right? Drive it out. My stance are always slightly, canted, with my support foot back, driving it out. And the same thing when I play airsoft, right? Same thing as I do it. Especially, actually, if you move. If you move, it's really important to get your footwork right. So again, going back to sports, right? So sports background. I was a football player, American football player. And footwork was really important. How we lead with what foot really gives you the advantage on how fast you can do your get off, or how low you can go, or what kind of advantage you can play over your offensive lineman or whoever you're trying to go and attack. I play defense. So same thing with playing airsoft, because these things have no recoil. And you may think, well, that's okay. You don't have to worry too much, right? But you have other factors you need to worry about. Because there's no recoil, any kind of slight body movement is also going to be able to sling that BB in weird places.
Oh, I never thought of it that way,
So you have to think about, when you move, your upper body and lower body has to move independent of each other. So when you're moving, if I'm taking a left-hand turn and I'm stacked up and I need to cut this corner really quick, it's my right foot that has to lead. Because I'm going in, right foot lead, step, and I turn. This is especially useful when you're coming in the door. And maybe we can do a demo later. But you gotta lead with the right body movement. So I think it's really important. To take it one step further is if you do competition. IPSC, IDPA. How can you get off your mark to go to your next target better? I've seen a lot of IPSC players in my day when I was living in Hong Kong. Great shooting, very fast shooters, terrible footwork. I would watch their footwork and I'm like, you should be thanking God that your gun is fire and you shoot fast. And then you can somehow run quick. But like how they move their body is so chaotic, right? So a good source to watch, I would say, is Ronin Tactics. Tulam is a fantastic body mechanic specialist. Also, Travis Haley, biomechanics, very, very good. Two great sources.
It's like, I feel like if you want to like min-max and really be good at the sport, and if you ever want to transition over to real steel, then it would be good. But I feel like in Japanese airsoft, like there is no next step.
Right.
beyond airsoft. So you have players who, yes, they take all that very seriously, and they're very good.
Yes.
And then you have players who, you have the noobs, don't know what they're doing, whatever. But you have the UAB sports players who
Yes.
have their own stances that are good for what they do.
Yes.
Right. And I feel like the reason I learned when it was quarantine because of your boy, I was studying rotating tactics. I was studying Anthem, footwork, high ready, low ready, all this kind of fundamental because in Japan specifically, we have one life game modes 98% of the time. And for me, those are pretty high stakes because it's expensive to play here. It's like $50 to go out and play. Realistically, you're spending $80 to go out for a day of airsoft. And if you die right away because you couldn't get your gun up fast enough, or you tripped over yourself, or you couldn't peek or whatever, or you had your safety on and you didn't know because you didn't have your fundamentals, you're sitting out. And back in the day, they kind of changed it now, but you would sit out for at least 20 minutes. Maybe.
Yeah.
You'd be like,
basically for the whole game.
Yeah, so like I'm paying all this money to go and play, but I don't get to play, right? Which is a whole industry-wide issue.
Exactly.
But they're kind of fixing it now.
Paying all this money to sit on the bench.
Yeah, so I'm like, I need to get better so that I can actually play and make videos, do whatever I want to do. So that's why I like Japanese airsoft, because a lot of players have that mentality, like I only have one life.
Yes.
And maybe it's not my life, but it's my money and my time.
Yes.
And the time I actually get to play. So you really do have to learn those fundamentals and be on top of your game. And whether or not it's sports versus Milsimans, I don't know. Sports guys are really good. I just avoid them because they're like super min-max efficiency.
Yeah.
So
my thing, I think, to take away from Japanese airsoft is a lot of them, they do take this very seriously, because you're absolutely right. It's not cheap to play here. You don't get to play all the time. Some of these office guys, they work so hard and they get so tired, they maybe get to play once a month.
Yeah,
right?
once a month.
Or maybe twice a month. And that's it. And that's literally it for them. And so they want to be able to enjoy it, and so they take it really far. With that said, sometimes what I also see with a lot of Japanese players, and I don't think it's any fault of theirs, they do a lot of these tactic stuffs for the sake of doing a lot of these tactic stuff, right? It's cool on visual.
Yeah.
It's really nice, but some of it is just a little bit unnecessary.
Too much, yeah.
What I would always say, if I could give any word of a suggestion to any Japanese players out there, I think the most important thing you guys need to learn is heads up, guns up. Because it's an obscene amount of times where I would cut a corner and then we see some brother just standing there like this. Like, bro, you in a game.
Yeah.
Bro, you in a game.
Yeah.
Or like he would move through a hallway like
Just
this.
chilling.
Just move through a hallway like this. Or like he would just have his gun like this and he would just move through the hallway like this. I'm like, bro, when you are moving, if your head is up, it's at least here.
Yeah.
It's at least at this level of ready. So you're like that, right?
Yeah.
Like when you catch me moving, you're not gonna catch me dead if my gun is not at least here.
Yeah.
Especially if I'm moving through a hallway with multiple entry points, it's up. It's up here and I'm looking through this red dot and I'm indexing this way. And I've got a buddy coming through over this way so I don't flag him. This way so I don't flag him, right? So that's one thing. I would definitely recommend the Japanese players, guys, heads up, guns up. It will help you. I swear it'll help you. You will not die silly deaths. That's number one. Number two, don't walk in front of somebody else's line of fire.
Yeah.
It's just a little bit of thought before you cross in front of somebody.
Yeah.
Some people have the wherewithal to not flag you and raise that muzzle. Some people, if they're in an intense fight and they're kind of little worked up, a little nervous, you cut in front of them, they'll shoot you.
Yep.
You know, I've been friendly a lot. I've been more friendly here than I've ever been in my life.
Yeah.
Right?
100%.
And guys, it's not your fault.
Yeah.
It just comes with a little bit of time and thinking, right?
Yeah.
So just remember, heads up, guns up, and just watch your surroundings when you're crossing in front of somebody else's line of fire or their line of sight.
Yeah. And the thing is, like, I noticed in Japanese airsoft, like, no matter how serious any of these players get, whether it be sports gay or milsim, they all know it's a game at the end of the day. Like, I've never seen anyone get, like, mad and like, I can't believe. They're just like, oh, nice shot, good run. Like, oh, whatever, I'm done. It's like, even if they get eliminated right away, they're like, oh, okay, oh, that's cool.
Nice shot though.
Yeah, so it's just like the humility of the players. Like, given the stakes, if you put anyone else not from Japanese culture, it's just like, you get mad. I've gotten mad a few times.
Right.
Like, why am I here? Like, I've only played 20 minutes for the whole day, right?
Right.
But they're very humble, which is why I really appreciate the culture around the game this year. Yeah. So
what's next?
Let's move on to the next question, which is I guess we can talk about gripping.
Yes.
So